a much-loved elderly landlady,
Alice was very quirky. She was one of a kind.
is found dead, upside down in her well.
It was shocking, especially learning that she was just in our store.
Can cameras reveal the truth?
My hope is that I'm going to see the person I think murdered Alice Seff.
Or just lead to a web of lies?
Well, this is a difficult and frustrating case.
I don't mind appreciating him getting me caught up in a situation like that.
It ended up going a different way.
Detectives must catch the killer
You have one chance to try a case.
before they strike again.
German Village is just south of downtown Columbus. Cobble streets, gingerbread houses. It's just a darling little village.
Morning, Alice.
One lifelong resident of German Village is a bit of a local celebrity.
Alice was very quirky. She was one of a kind. She wore not so good-looking wigs and camouflage jackets. She had a car that was painted with a brush, and so people knew who she was.
Alice Seff is twice divorced with no kids. Her career is her life's passion, and she's always been a hard worker.
She owned a lot of properties, and something she couldn't do, she would hire someone to do it for her. And she maintained them all. I think she enjoyed the process and the work of it all.
When Nancy decides to open a flower shop, she buys a property from Alice, and they become good friends.
Good morning, Alice.
She just liked what I was trying to do, and she was willing to help me, so she was like that.
Always lilies, Alice. Always lilies, Nancy.
You would have thought somebody lived in that car. She had so much stuff in there.
Isn't it time you cleared that car out of yours? Your junk is my treasure.
Those things just didn't matter to her.
See you later.
She was feisty, and she was independent, and didn't take any guff, but yet she could be very kind and generous. And so that's what I liked about her.
Like clockwork, on the first of every month, Alice visits the occupants of her 15 properties.
How are you?
Not too bad.
I'm here for the rent.
And collects the rent in cash.
Cash your mom there.
Her tenants now don't expect to see her
See you
again
next month.
Have a good one. See you
You
next month.
too. Bye-bye.
until August 1st.
Okay.
Columbus then celebrates a happy 4th of July weekend. But just a few days later, police dispatch get a call from a resident in German Village. A body has been found in a well at a property on South High Street. The detective who catches the case is James Day.
The first person we talked to was, of course, the person that discovered the body. He lives next door. He was there with his daughter. They were cutting across the property, and that's where he smelled a rank odor of something that had died. I walked into the backyard. There's a privacy fence along the south edge of the property, and do notice that there's blood spattered along that fence. I see a lot of personal items scattered all over the backyard. Pieces of paper, reward cards. There's a wig laying there. As I go around the building, there is this decorative well, kind of like the old Jack and Jill nursery rhyme. We look inside the well. There's definitely a body. She's upside down.
The detective's first impression is of a robbery gone wrong.
I felt that it was a mugging. The blood on the fence told me that there was a struggle. We were hoping that it would possibly be linked to a suspect.
There is no sign of a murder weapon, but there should be lots of opportunities to find the killer's DNA.
We take all of the items we recovered from the scene and we send them off to the state lab.
The forensic team works into the night to disassemble the wooden well. At 1:15 a.m., the body is finally recovered and confirmed as being Alice.
You look for things that shouldn't be there, and you look for things that should be there and aren't. One of the first things I notice when we get her body out is her cell phone is missing. She has a nylon holster that would hold a cell phone on her waistband, and it's empty. Other thing we're noticing is there's no car. To learn that she lives several miles away in another area of town. This was one of her rental properties, which was vacant. She's using for storage.
ALYCE.
Finding Alice's car is priority one.
Blue Ford Escort Estate.
And Detective Day immediately issues a bolo.
If we find the car, maybe we find the person who did this.
He then submits a request to have Alice's cell phone records examined.
Maybe we can get a GPS.
I'm hoping that the usage area of her cell phone would also tell us where that car was located.
We get the phone, we get the car, we get the killer.
I was in the flower shop that she sold to me.
Have you heard the news?
And someone came in and said, "Did you hear Alice Seff was murdered?"
Alice? Yeah.
I said, "Oh my God, no." And so then I saw it on the news.
The 80-year-old landlady was found in her well on one of her properties.
Alice would certainly fight back because she was feisty. Probably didn't do her any favors, you know. I don't understand why he would put her in a well. All he had to do was take the money and run. It was just a really horrible thing to think about.
The next day, Alice's decomposed body is taken for autopsy. They determine she was killed over the 4th of July weekend.
There was no definite cause of death. She didn't have a fractured skull. She didn't have a gunshot wound. She didn't have a stab wound. I'm thinking that during the struggle, maybe she's struck in the face, but we can't determine that because the state her body is in. The death may have been actually positional asphyxiation, to as if he just dug a hole, put her in there alive, and covered it back up. Her death wouldn't have been quick, but long and suffering.
What's more, the DNA results from the crime scene offers no help.
Unfortunately, it all comes back negative.
The blood on the fence all belongs to the victim. The forensic results give no clues to her killer being there at all. Then, Alice's cell phone records come in.
We could see from the triangulation of the towers, there's lots of phone activity after the time we thought she was killed. So we know someone else is using her cell phone, and that was big.
At the start of July, her cell only pings off towers in German Village. But beginning on July 5th, it pings 3 towers in the northeast of the city.
Because of where those phone calls were coming from, I specifically asked the officers in that area
Start looking northeast of downtown.
to look out for Alice's car.
Okay.
Detective Day puts the word out to the press in a call for tips and leads.
When the news of Alice's murder was broadcasted,
Yep, this is Day.
we started getting a lot of calls from associates, friends,
Great.
people she did business with.
I'll be right there.
One of them was the owner of Murray's Tool Company. She told us that Alice was a frequent customer and that she actually had surveillance footage of the last time she was in there, which may have been the day she was killed. And that's where I got the first lead.
The owners are Ed Babcock and his wife, Wendy.
When we found out Alice was murdered, it was shocking, especially learning that she was just in our store within a day or two of that happening, and then realizing that how long she had been dead.
The store has a modern surveillance system. Detective Day wants to know if it has caught Alice's killer on camera.
We wanted to do anything we could do to help her and solve this murder.
Stop. Dead.
Following the murder of 81-year-old landlady Alice Seff, police hope surveillance video from a local hardware store will reveal her killer.
Murray's Tool Rental was a business that she would rent some small tools from. Around the time that she had last been seen, she was in the store.
This is the last time we saw her.
It was right after the 4th of July. She came in and she needed some hedge trimmers sharpened.
Store manager Wendy cues up the video to 11:46 a.m. on July 5th.
Is that Alice?
That's Alice.
The video did show her there.
Alice is joined at the counter by Wendy's husband, Ed.
Can you freeze it? Zoom in? What are those?
Hedge trimmers.
They look pretty lethal. What happens next?
Alice follows Ed and leaves frame to the right. A short while later,
Go back.
she crosses frame back to the exit. This is the last moment they have of Alice on camera. Determined to find a lead that could ID her killer, Day watches the footage again.
Stop. Go back. Can we see that again?
Sure.
Closer.
It showed her behavior with the money in that she would reach into her shirt, pull a big wad of cash out of her bra, and pay for whatever she was renting.
Big characters with big bankrolls can make easy targets.
She had a really bad habit of carrying a large amount of cash. Very old school, and clearly that's one of the factors that made her a target.
Have you got another angle on that?
Yeah, sure.
Switching to another camera, they re-watch Alice's movements from behind the counter. And from this angle, they can see the other customers. Day needs to trace anyone in the store who notices Alice's money.
On the right. Who's that guy?
Alice turns to look at a man at the side exit.
Zoom in on him.
Can he see the cash she is holding? He leaves shot, and Alice does not seem concerned. As they play on, Day notices a woman who could have clocked Alice's cash.
Have you got another angle on that? Closer.
The woman seems friendly, but wouldn't have noticed Alice's money. Returning to the second angle, Day spots another individual who has an eye on Alice as she chats to manager Ed. An employee standing at the back who appears to watch Alice before leaving out of the rear exit.
My husband, Ed, would say things like, don't carry as much around, but obviously she didn't listen to that. In her mind, she was doing exactly what she should be doing. That's just the way she was. She wasn't going to be pushed around.
As Alice leaves frame after Ed, a man with a cap at the counter sees her go.
Now, who's that guy?
The man leaves with an employee. Moments later, Alice leaves via a different exit with her trimmers and her cash. Investigators need to speak to all 4 individuals seen at the store. As police track them down, Alice's body is laid to rest. Though she doesn't have any close living relatives, her loss is felt across the village.
I don't think she would have ever imagined that would happen to her. I think on some level she trusted people, probably too much. Went to her funeral. It was packed with people that really felt strongly about her and mourned for her.
Knowing that somebody had killed Alice was really hard for us. I don't know how they walked around and were able to sleep at night. I just don't know how they do that. She was a nice lady that was trying to do her good things, but it was very hard.
Police have located the 4 individuals from the tool store, but as each is interviewed, they are crossed off the list and cleared with a solid alibi. Neither they nor anyone else seen at Murray's was involved. As Detective Day hits a dead end, a call comes in.
This is Day.
Patrol officers have found Alice's car, abandoned 3 miles northeast of the crime scene.
Let's bring it in.
We impound the car, and then we process it.
It was taken to Columbus Police impound lot to see if there was a way of identifying who had been in the car most recently. So they swapped the car for DNA, and that became an important part of the next step in the investigation.
It's full of stuff. Trash, paint, and building supplies, drywall stuff, tape. The driver's area is what I wanted them to check for any fingerprints or any other DNA. And then I noticed the armrest on the driver's door apparently had been knocked off the door. She had taken finishing nails and nailed the armrest back onto the side of the car. It left the very small heads of the finishing nails exposed. And there I saw that there was a drop of blood on that finishing nail. I specifically said, make sure you give me that blood.
Day knows he's getting closer to the killer, but faces a wait for DNA results. Meanwhile, as Alice's possessions are audited by her lawyers, they make a discovery that kickstarts a new lead. Alice liked cash in hand, but she owned 2 credit cards that were not present at the crime scene.
We discovered that there was activity on Alice's bank card. He had several stores up in the northern part of town between the time we believe she had been murdered and the time that her body had been found. There was a Kroger's and a Myers and a gas station. But the Myers store were the only ones that had actual surveillance video of each checkout station.
Day races to Myers to review their footage.
My hope, of course, is that I'm going to see the person I think murdered Alice Seth.
Okay, freeze it there.
On the trail of Alice Seth's killer, Detective Day is hoping to identify them on camera. Her credit cards have been used at a superstore the day after her death.
When I determined from the loss prevention person that they had video on each one of the cash registers, he was able to pull up the actual transaction.
They cue the tape to the moment before the card was used. 9:24 p.m. Day hopes to see the face of Alice's killer.
Zoom in. Is that him?
But the transaction number doesn't match. The next customer appears to be a woman wearing a yellow vest. But she moves off. Once the man leaves, another woman moves to the checkout with a full belt's worth of goods.
Well, let's wait for the transaction. Well, let's go back and see that again.
Actual transaction is made by an African-American female.
The unexpected suspect completes the purchase. Day needs to track her movements and try to identify her.
Let's follow her. Where did she go?
Switching cameras, they watch her leave the checkout.
Closer.
She calmly heads towards the exit with the goods purchased on stolen credit.
Now, who's that woman?
A second woman then appears to join her.
Let's go back and play it again. Zoom in. Okay, freeze it there.
Once we saw that, we went back and searched through the footage again.
That's that same woman. She slipped away just before the sale.
I was kind of surprised to see that there were two women using these credit cards, because I never thought that what had happened to Alice Seth would have been performed by a couple women.
Okay, let's follow them from start to finish.
Using the many cameras throughout the huge store, they are able to track the entire spree.
We were able to backtrack it and got within that time frame from different cameras, got them walking in the store, got them shopping around at different departments.
The women are not captured in detail when they leave the store.
Go back to the entrance.
So Day rewinds all the way to get the clearest image he can.
Freeze.
He needs to find his two prime suspects and learn how they got Alice's cards.
The faces of these two women are sort of blurry. You see their general build, but you wouldn't be able to recognize them unless you really knew them well.
Again, the detective uses the media for help.
I knew that I could take that video, get it put on the news, and someone would tell me who they were.
This is Day.
He doesn't have to wait long.
Hold on a sec.
The woman in yellow presents herself to police.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we interviewed Brenda Greathouse.
She probably saw you on TV then.
He didn't see me, but my girlfriend did. It was like, Brenda, come here, you on TV. I said, what? Should I turn myself in? And
We're here about some credit cards that you came into possession of, and I want to hear about that.
okay, let me see. I talked to Jerome. His name is Jerome Green. He came to me and said that he was working for someone, and they gave him his credit cards, and he's supposed to been get the materials, I guess, to do the job.
Brenda had gone to high school with Charles Jerome Green and had a long-term relationship with him. When he showed her the cards, she saw the name on them and asked, "Isn't this the woman that you work for?" And he just said, "Well, she gave me the cards to use."
Brenda explains that her ex-boyfriend, Green, had sometimes worked for Alice as a handyman at her properties.
So I called my girlfriend, Narita Sams. She asked me to come and get her, and that's when we went shopping.
She names the other woman in the store as Narita Sams, who has served time for receiving stolen property.
She the one that she used them. I went in the store with her, though.
And she also links Green to Alice's phone, which she saw him use and even borrowed herself.
So I said, how did you get that phone? I asked him. He said, I found the phone on going to the store. Ain't no way you found that phone going to the store.
She was being truthful with the detectives because she realized at that point that she herself could be in some deep trouble. By not asking questions about the source of the credit card, not questioning what seems to be an implausible story.
Have you ever talked to him about this since?
I talked to him, and I told him I'd appreciate him getting me caught up in a situation like that.
Both Brenda Greathouse and her friend Narita Sams have solid alibis and are not suspects in Alice's murder. Ultimately, neither is charged over the use of her credit cards. Day is now on the hunt for Alice's handyman, Charles Jerome Green.
We learned that she used people that she'd met on the street to work for her. She paid them in cash.
Deep down, I think she was just trying to help somebody else, a fellow human being, and help them get them back on their feet maybe a little bit.
Day immediately puts Green's details through the police database.
That was a big thing for me. I had my suspect.
But this is a difficult and frustrating case because it ended up going a very different way.
Detective Day has a suspect in the murder of Alice Seff. Her handyman, Charles Jerome Green. With a long list of drug charges, he is easy to find on the police database. But it's not so simple to track him down in person.
The information that Brenda Greathouse gave me about Green is that he didn't have a permanent address, didn't have a permanent job, and they actually didn't know how to get a hold of him. Or he would just show up every now and then, and I wouldn't know where he's at until he surfaced.
When Alice's will is revealed, it's a shock. Despite her frugal lifestyle, Alice Seff was a rich woman, worth at least $1 million. She leaves half to a charity for veterans and half to her synagogue.
She told me that her father gave her and her sister each $5,000 when they graduated, and she invested her $5,000 in her very first property. She just went from there buying more properties until she got a lot of them. That was her thing. That's what she liked doing.
If you looked at Alice, you would never guess she was a millionaire. Every time I saw her, it was the same outfit.
She didn't care if she was seen at the shishi places or anything like that. That was not Alice. You'd have never known she had a lot of money.
Meanwhile, the DNA results come back from the forensics of Alice's car.
Other than Alice's DNA, there were 3 samples of DNA that were found that came back to the same person. From the blood, the steering wheel, and the shifting stick. When interviewing the friends and associates of Alice, we found out she wouldn't allow anybody else to drive her car. She would go and pick people up and drive them to places to do this work.
Knowing only Alice ever drove her car, this is likely the killer's DNA. But the trace samples don't provide a definite match.
The person is a African-American male, which is the general profile of Charles Jerome Green. But I couldn't be sure, so I needed to get a hold of him, get his DNA.
Need a briefing set up with
And I could most likely wrap this up.
That's the only way we're gonna get this guy.
Investigators step up the efforts to find the homeless suspect before he robs and kills again.
I went to patrol officers that worked that precinct, gave them pictures of him that we had in our records, asking for them to try and find this guy, and if they did, to give me a call. That just didn't work out. I couldn't find him. So basically everything's at a stalemate right now, or stalled out. I'm convinced that he's my guy. I can't find him.
Their suspect has vanished into the metropolis, and the case goes cold.
Someone can be missing in a large city for a period of time, but detectives will put a hold on them so that if they're ever stopped for a speed ticket or jaywalking, the detective will be notified. Mr. Green disappeared for about 3 years.
Well, one of my laws sitting in the office, and boom, he pops up on the screen. There's an arrest for a drug offense. I start making calls, find out about the charge. He's in jail, waiting a court appearance.
Green, he's my prime suspect.
So now Charles Jerome Green is merely a mile down the road from me.
Let's see you in 10.
I literally jump up, grab some DNA swabs, go to the jail. I need to see this guy.
3 years after the murder of Alice Seff, Detective Day finally sits face to face with the prime suspect.
Do you know Alice?
I'm telling him I'm here about Alice Seff. He says, yeah, I know about Alice Seff.
Nice lady.
I said, you know she was killed? Yeah. I said, will you talk to me about that? No. I want an attorney.
I don't think you're gonna pin this one on me. No, sir.
He knows the system enough to know that he's probably going to get a time served sentence, and they're going to turn him loose.
Green shuts him down, refusing to speak without a lawyer. But Day has one last request.
Then I asked him the big question. So, will you let me take a DNA sample from you? Surprisingly, he says yes.
Sure.
And I swabbed the inside of his cheeks. So I didn't get to talk to him. I did get the most important thing. I got his DNA.
Soon enough, Green is released and free to go. But it's not long before the DNA swab pays off.
His DNA is in the driver's seat area. It matches the sample from the armrest, from the steering wheel, and from the shifting stick, which tells me he's operating this car. And cut himself on that jagged edge of the head of the finishing nail. That sample gave me the very best match. At that point, I figure I got him.
Keep you from going anywhere or doing anything. I said, don't fall asleep.
Green faces detectives again.
Restroom there too if you need one.
And this time, Day is armed with DNA evidence.
Do you know about the death of Alice Seff? No, I don't. Nothing. I know she's died. Yes, I do. And that's all you know? Yes.
Did you know Alice? And
I've done some work for her before.
she good to work for?
Yeah, she is. Okay. Nice lady.
Well, the DNA analysis came back positive, showing that Green had been in the car. But at the same time, Green was in a position of saying the DNA was deposited there when I rode in the car before the homicide.
How'd she pay you? She paid me cash. Oh. Did she ever let you drive her car? No. Do you have a driver's license?
He tells us he always rode in the passenger seat.
Oh, okay.
Did she ever let others drive her car that you're aware of?
I ain't never seen nobody drive her car.
You haven't?
This was important because the DNA found in her car that matched him was in the driver's seat area.
Police have placed Green behind the wheel of the victim's car.
Can you tell me what properties you worked for her at?
But he won't admit to ever being at the crime scene on South High Street.
And this one on Fifth Avenue. Any place else?
The detective feels he has enough to take his suspect to trial.
I really ain't killed Miss Alice. So y'all ain't gonna put that on me?
I now have Charles Green's DNA, matching the DNA from the car. I have a witness stating that he had Alice's cell phone and her credit cards.
But the DA's office applied the brakes.
You certainly had enough evidence to charge him with receiving stolen property.
Trying to trap me out? No, I'm not trying to trap you. I'm just telling you what. I'm ready to cut it off.
But it's not good enough to show that he actually committed the murder.
As I'm dismissed. No, there's no dismissing. You can walk out anytime you want. Okay.
Once again,
I'll see y'all.
He walks free.
They want something that can link Charles Jerome Green directly to the scene of the crime.
Without proof their suspect was ever at the Wishing Well house, prosecutors don't think they can win a trial.
I have 90% of a case here. I still need the other 10.
Day has followed every lead, but just can't place his suspect at the scene.
That really was getting to me, as I knew I was so close to solving it, but then the final conclusion to it just kept evading me.
After 3 years investigating the case, he is unable to bring justice to Alice.
Detective Day retired, and the case gets turned over to the cold case unit of the police department.
The veteran cop leaves in limbo.
It was frustrating because I wanted to finish this before I left, from the beginning to the end.
Alice's killer remains free. But a new detective picks up the baton.
One day, the prosecutor's office asked me to review the case. And I did. I've worked a lot of cases, but this one needed a lot of luck.
Six years after the murder of Alice Seff, cold case detective Jim Longerbone seeks the evidence needed to convict or eliminate the prime suspect.
You have one chance to try a case, and they want a tight case to ensure that they're going to get a conviction.
Longerbone trawls the files in detail.
I was looking for any bit of information that needed to be followed up on that could have been missed.
Examining every lead.
I like to get a first-hand look, so I did go check the crime scene out.
And scrutinizing the location.
And it just appeared everything had been done.
But like Day before him, strikes out.
Until I got a hold of the witnesses.
Determined that someone must have seen something, he re-interviews those who lived near the crime scene.
The witnesses were interviewed at the scene, but none of them mentioned that they had seen anything unusual that happened prior to finding the body. There was a lady who lived next door. She had seen an unusual person with Miss Seff who was doing work on the back deck.
I wasn't here the day it happened, but I saw a man working in the
Her testimony about the days before Alice was killed may be the missing link.
The guy was painting the back deck. He came over to her and kept asking for beers, plural. I mean, like, not a beer, but he wanted beers.
It's hot work out here.
She got a very good look at him. About that time, Alice came by
I'm not paying you to still work
and told him to get back to work.
It's done by itself.
I asked her if she could identify the guy she saw, and she said absolutely.
Longerbone presents the witness with a photo array.
She pointed to Mr. Green and said, "That's him right there." Yes, that's what we needed, because now we can put him at the scene at the time of the murder.
After years of stonewalling police, Green's time is up. Prosecutors now have what they need to arrest.
All the pieces of the puzzle come together, and there was sufficient evidence to go forward at that point.
For the lead detective, closure comes with being proved right all along.
But that was the cherry on top that finished it.
Hey, I know.
Green maintains his innocence.
I know I didn't kill her. I believe that.
But the retired Detective Day returns to confront him with what he thinks happened.
You're homeless? You need some money? Drug problem. Easy mark. Crazy lady? Just a thought. Why can't you just give up the money? She got plenty of money.
Alice's hedge trimmers are never found.
He took her car and her credit cards.
Why's it gotta go that way and she ends up dead?
If he'd have just taken her money, this probably would never have been solved.
You wanna roll your sleeves up?
He was indicted for the crime, arrested, and set up for a trial.
Charles Jerome Green is sentenced to 10 years for aggravated robbery, 10 years for kidnapping, and 15 years to life for the murder of Alice Seth.
Being an investigator for nearly 40 years is very satisfying for me personally, and a good way to end my career in investigations.
Well, the contribution that Murray Tools gave to the detectives in this case was very important because it allowed the timeline to be narrowed, and their investigation, it became very important.
It was a good feeling. Somebody that could do this was off the streets. And I hope it was enough justice for her. I believe Alice was killed because she trusted the wrong person. I think she was trying to do the right thing. I think she was trying to help somebody out.
She would come and pick me up sometimes, and we'd drive around, and she would tell me stories about her life. She was a very interesting woman. It was just always interesting, hearing her stories.